They always say that the best adventures start off in the places that you least expect. And this is exactly the case for the video that we are going to make over the course of the next couple of days. Because today, I'm giving you my most sincere greetings from the village of Issyk-Kul in central Kyrgyzstan. And the reason why we're here is because this is the best place to start off our expedition in order to pay homage to Yuri Gagarin. Our destination for the next couple of days will be a place in northeastern Kyrgyzstan where they say that there is one of the greatest and most interesting monuments dedicated to Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space. When I was in 3rd grade, in the early 70s, our teacher of advanced algebra asked the class a fairly innocent question, curious about what we wanted to become when we grew up. My friend Michele said that he wanted to be a Jersey Shore star, while Fabio said that he wanted to become the king of the pirates. 9-year-old me, on the other hand, proudly stated that I wanted to become an explorer of post-Soviet decadentism to fulfill my dream of visiting a country with a very weird name, whose territory was entirely mountainous. At the time, I was still too young to leave on a mission to Kyrgyzstan, but a few years later I started feeling without a doubt undoubtedly ready to document life in one of the most absurd countries in the world here for YouTube. However, I didn't want to be wandering around the mountains of Kyrgyzstan with no set goal in mind, so I decided to set my eyes on a very remote place in the northeast of the country, which was going to be my destination for this video. Those who know me well already know that I have a passion for the space race, and it just so happens that Kyrgyzstan is somehow connected to Yuri Gagarin, who entered history as the first man in space. The official Soviet version is that Gagarin, after his cosmic mission, landed as planned in the Saratov Oblast in Soviet Russia. However, according to some Kyrgyz rumors, due to a miscalculation during the preparations for landing, Gagarin actually landed in a place in the middle of the mountains of Kyrgyzstan on the shore of Lake Issyk-Kul, exactly on the other side of the country from where I started this video. The Soviets had allegedly kept the true landing site of Gagarin secret to obviously avoid losing face internationally. My goal was precisely to traverse the legendary Kyrgyz nation to investigate Gagarin's alleged landing site, while discovering at the same time all the quirks of this amazing country, going through breathtaking landscapes and all the zhigulis dating back to the past century. So the place where we are going to find the Gagarin monument is called Barskoon, or rather Barskoon is the closest town to the coordinates where allegedly Gagarin landed after his space mission, and it's quite a long way from here, which means that unfortunately we won't be able to travel all the way to Barskoon on a Lada Zhiguli. No, the distances in Kyrgyzstan are quite far. This is a big country, and that also means that it will take us 2 days at the very least to reach the coordinates of the monument that so very few people saw over the course of the past 50 years since its alleged erection. So we will need to make a stop halfway through, and what better place to make a stop halfway through between Issyk-Kul and Lake Issyk-Kul near Barskoon than the capital of Kyrgyzstan, Bishkek, where I've never been before, and maybe we will be able to find something that is Gagarin themed, or at the very least related to space exploration in one of the biggest cities of Central Asia. Alright, I'm also traveling with somebody else today. I'm hoping that somebody that I'm traveling with these days has already found a car for us to go to Bishkek. Let's see, where is it? Hey dude, have you found the car?
Yes.
Are we going to Bishkek?
Yes.
With this guy? How much?
700.
700 som each?
$6.
$6. Alright, let's go. Nice done, man. Мы поедем в Issyk-Kul, чтобы посмотреть там Гагарин, памятник, знаете, Барскон.
Я не видел, а так слышал.
Но слышите про памятник, да? Там говорят, что Гагарин приземлился после полета. Это киргизская музыка? Oh, wow. To make the hours go by faster on the road, the taxi driver has asked us if we want to listen to some Kyrgyz music. So this is what we're doing now, man. Disco taxi, huh?
Hopefully he plays just one song of us, not for 1 hour, bro.
Громче, громче! Можно чуть громче? Нет? Громче, громче! Nice, да. You like it?
Not too much.
To Gagarin! The designated place for Gagarin to land after his cosmic mission, as I told you earlier on, was somewhere in the steppes of Saratov Oblast. Obviously, steppes are just the best place for a cosmonaut to come back to from open space, basically. Whereas on the other hand, a territory full of mountains like the one that you see in Kyrgyzstan, you can see here all the mountains that are surrounding us. Right now, we have just stopped halfway through. This is definitely not the best place that you would want your first man into space to land and come back to, really. But somewhere in a landscape very similar to this, according to Kyrgyz legend, that's where Gagarin landed. A landscape very similar to this, but only 500 kilometers to the northeast. And I have to say, this that I'm seeing with my eyes right now has to be one of the most breathtaking landscapes I've ever seen in my life. You see, I'm not just about semi-abandoned Soviet buildings and all that sort of stuff. I can appreciate nature as well. Что?
Hummus.
Хумуса? Ну,
Лошадиное молоко.
А можно посмотреть юрт? Это ваш юрт? So this is the typical yurt, the typical tent for the nomad population of Kyrgyzstan. I don't know whether you've actually got many people who are still nomads, кочевники. А вы здесь живете или просто работаете?
Работаем 3 месяца.
Вы из Бишкека? Да. И 3 месяца вы приедете здесь, летом работать. Вау, традиционный юрт киргизский. Красивый, спасибо вам большое, Рахмат. Wow. So you've still got nomads in Kyrgyzstan, but they're way off the road, so they're even further into the mountains. Whereas the yurts that we see here and the ones that we have been seeing along the roads from Tik Tok, they come here to work 3 months per year, only in summer, and they pretty much work as a gas station without the gas, just to serve food and a toilet over there. How you feel, man?
I think our grandpa had watched a Formula 1 race last night.
He had some really good overtakes on the outside though, I'll give him that. Быстрее, быстрее! Павел говорит, что вы слишком медленно едете, это нехорошо. It feels faster because we've got the windows rolled down, but I think we're going like 90 or 100 kilometers per hour tops.
90, okay.
So after a very extenuating ride through the mountains of Kyrgyzstan, we made it to the capital of this country. Welcome to Bishkek. And here is the amazing architecture that you can find in Bishkek, which is very different from the type of architecture, from the type of rural architecture that we could find this morning in Tik Tok. The architecture that is typical to the villages of Kyrgyzstan. But this is no village. This is one of the biggest cities of Central Asia. And this is the Palace of Sports, the Soviet Palace of Sports of Bishkek. And Bishkek, just because of this type of architecture, is just the perfect place for us to spend a few hours in on our way to Lake Issyk-Kul. We've already checked in at an apartment that Pavel found on Airbnb. But then, after spending the night there, tomorrow morning we'll be able to leave to, again, Lake Issyk-Kul, Barskoon, and the monument to Yuri Gagarin. In the meanwhile, you can have a look at this amazing statue of a Kyrgyz warrior holding a horse on his shoulders. That's impressive. I wouldn't be able to do that. Oh, он реально существовал?
Да.
Ah, okay.
Он лошадь поднимал, камни поднимал. Ну, тогда это было давно-давно.
Ага.
Еще не развито было. Они жили в горах, его родина там, за перевалом Тюашу.
А до него что тут стояло?
Только его память, вот этот спорткомплекс.
Потому что он думает, что Ленин был здесь, но Ленин был где-то другое. And just as we're approaching sunset here in Bishkek, we found the next very strong link between any country really in the former Soviet Union and the Soviet Union itself. Ladies and gentlemen, or rather ladies and gentlemen, we've got the statue of Vladimir Lenin, who is currently pointing us towards the right direction for the other statue and the other monument that we need to see in this video for this adventure, which is the one tributed to Yuri Gagarin. Lenin right here, and I have to say it's a pretty big one, is pointing towards Issyk-Kul, which is right in that direction over there. Lake Issyk-Kul, and the coordinates were, according to Kyrgyz legend, Gagarin landed some 63 years ago, really. And Lenin is still standing here proud, although not in the same location as he was standing up until the moment of the collapse of the Soviet Union, because Lenin used to stand right in front of the presidential palace of Soviet Kyrgyzstan, whereas the presidential palace is the very last thing that I'm going to show you here from Bishkek for today, and I'm gonna show that to you in 3, 2, 1, go. And there you go, the presidential square in front of the presidential building of Kyrgyzstan, which is right over there. And on this side you've got something that is even more interesting, which is the largest flag of Kyrgyzstan in the whole world. And I have to say, it makes total sense for the largest flag of Kyrgyzstan to be situated in the center of the capital of Kyrgyzstan. And at the feet of the largest flag of Kyrgyzstan you can find two guards guarding the flag, in this sense, who probably have the most boring job in the world. Guys, thanks ever so much for joining me on this first day, getting closer to the most absolute and ultimate monument to Gagarin, and we'll continue tomorrow morning at the bus station towards Issyk-Kul. Good morning from the bus station of Bishkek. Pavel apparently really struggles getting up before 10 a.m, which means that for today I'm by myself. I'm here by myself at the brutalist bus station of Bishkek. Look how amazing it looks. Avtovokzal bus station with the flag of Kyrgyzstan flying high over the main street of the capital of Kyrgyzstan. And it's right from here that we will be leaving for what I hope will be the final day of our expedition to Yuri Gagarin on the lake, on the shore of the Issyk-Kul lake. But before we go to the ticket shop to inquire on a ticket, I just want to see what the bus station looks like from the inside, because if it looks already so amazingly beautiful from the outside, I really want to see what I can find inside. Yeah, you've got quite a spacious waiting room here inside the bus station of Bishkek. What is really interesting here is the bus schedule. Let's see if we can recognize any names. I mean, I can definitely recognize Bishkek because that's where we are right now, but yeah, I can't really make out any other name. I don't know that many places and towns in Kyrgyzstan. What I do know are all the Russian towns and cities that you see here listed with daily buses leaving from Bishkek, for example, to Krasnoyarsk, Omsk, Yekaterinburg, Novosibirsk, and Moscow. Can you imagine how long a bus from freaking Bishkek to Moscow might take? That's probably up to 3 days or something. And that's due to all the Kyrgyz boys and girls working and living in Russia, obviously. But guys, take a plane. Oh, there's a parikmacherskaya. Wow, that's interesting. There's a barber shop. Здравствуйте, когда ближайшее до Балички?
Балчи?
Да.
320 сом, сейчас отъезжай через 20 минут.
Хорошо, давайте билеты через 20, пожалуйста. So very last minute, but I was able to get myself a seat on a marshrutka leaving to the very first town on the lake of Issyk-Kul, which is called Balichki. And the reason why I'm stopping there is because I want to have some food But most importantly, I want to go there and see one of the most famous lakes, if not the most famous lake of Central Asia, the Lake Issyk-Kul. And just as if we hadn't seen enough mountains yesterday on the way to Bishkek, look at this, we're now crossing another mountain range on the way from Bishkek to Issyk-Kul. And I have to say, it's absolutely beautiful. And what will be even more beautiful will be getting to the lake in itself. You have to consider that Kyrgyzstan is the country that is the farthest from any ocean in the world. It's not double landlocked because it borders China, but still we're so far away from the Pacific Ocean, so that Lake Issyk-Kul is pretty much an oasis in the middle of the desert of Central Asia, in the middle of the mountainous deserts of Central Asia. And especially in summer, that's where all the action is, because all the people, all the tourists from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, obviously Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan and Turkmenistan, they all travel to Issyk-Kul, which is the place to be in summer in Central Asia, to have a swim, to sunbathe, and just have the general holidays that we tend to have in Italy by the sea. Only that here in Kyrgyzstan, it's by the lake.
У тебя идет на телефон или на...
Нет, на камера. Есть флешка, да. Есть ленс и снимает. Короче, пойду снимать в Issyk-Kul, а потом в Барскон. Знаете, где Гагарин, памятник?
Да, да.
Барскон.
Это Барскон, рядышком есть город, допустим.
Да, еду в Барскон, а потом на машине до Гагарина, на такси,
Да,
наверное. Я пойду снимать пару минут. Спасибо. Как вас зовут?
Рая.
Рая. Очень красивое имя. Меня зовут Давид. Очень приятно, Рая. Увидимся. I don't know if you can see it from here, but over there you've got a railway line. And ladies and gentlemen, as I was just talking to the lovely babushka inside the marshutka while we were stopped at the gas station here on the highway to Balikchi, that is the only railway line that you can find all over Kyrgyzstan. You've only got one railway line connecting Bishkek with Lake Issyk-Kul, with the town of Balikchi. No bagage. Auf Wiedersehen. I just said Auf Wiedersehen because there was a group of German tourists on the marshutka to Lake Issyk-Kul. And I was like, why aren't you guys going to Garda Lake in Italy and you're going all the way up to Issyk-Kul Lake in Kyrgyzstan? In the meanwhile, we have made it to, as you can read up there, we've made it to Balikchi. It says there after Vokzal in Russian, and it says there after Beket in Kyrgyz. It's a bit run down, isn't it? The reason for that is because this used to be a bustling fishing hub back in the times of the Soviet Union, but then after the collapse of the Soviet Union, this city saw a massive decline. It feels like we've heard that before, right? Рыбачи, Баликчи.
Да, это Балыкчи.
Салам алейкум.
Да вы куда?
Я только что приехал, хочу посмотреть Баликчи, туристический город. Нет?
Нет, не такой.
Сказали, что во время Союза город был чуть-чуть лучше, а потом потерял, да?
Да, Союз этот
Распался.
и все, здесь уже
Понимаю.
промышленность.
Но рыбу можно еще ловить?
Ну, можно?
Можно, можно посмотреть по озере. Хорошо, через пару минут пойду в озеро.
Машина есть?
Нет, ну гуляю, не переживайте. Спасибо. Да, спасибо. Салам алейкум. Салам алейкум. Да. You just heard the guy, right? This place had a lot to offer back during the times of the Soviet Union, but now there isn't much left really, apart from a very strong wind. You can definitely see and feel it on your skin that we're very close to the windy shores of Lake Issyk-Kul. Whereas a couple of kilometers inland, this is what you see. You see quite a few abandoned buildings all over the town, which during the times of the Soviet Union was known as Rybachi. It had a Russian name. Rybachi in Russian means fisherman. And then after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the name of the city was changed to Balikchi, which is essentially the Kyrgyz word for fisherman. So the meaning has stayed the same. But unfortunately, the change of the name didn't bring much prosperity and fortune to the city of Balikchi, which now looks for the majority like this. This again is next to the bus station, so I imagine that this used to be a bustling place for people from all over Kyrgyzstan. It says there Gap. I imagine that one was a bar. Пиздец. Now this is interesting. I'm very close to the lake and I can see something that definitely dates back to the communist past of this town, when this town was called Rybache. You've got the Soviet Star over there. You've got some interesting Soviet memorabilia. Let's see what it says. Issyk-Kul in Russian. Kemechiliga. I have no idea what this is. There's some guy looking like Lenin dressed like a sailor. You've got the Soviet Star again. And speaking of communist stuff, just a few meters away from what I just showed you, let me see what I can show you now. Because relegated to this very isolated corner of the town of Balikchi, you've got the local Lenin. You've got the bust of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. I imagine that this Lenin right here used to be located in a much more central place of this town, but then after decommunization, or rather after independence, they moved it to this place, which, as I said, is a lot more isolated. And you can see him looking towards that direction. On the background you can see a very marine and sea-like configuration and illustration with the sailor smiling towards us. You can see the lake, you can see one of the many ships that used to sail and still sail along Lake Issyk-Kul. And then you've got this woman right here, and you've got three fish representing I don't know what. The next clip will be from the proper Lake Issyk-Kul. Let's go to the lake and let's go and bathe our feet into the waters of the largest lake in Central Asia. I look up to the sky and now the world is mine. We've made it. Welcome to Issyk-Kul, to the Lake Issyk-Kul. These are the waters of the legendary, why am I saying legendary? Of the mythological, how do you pronounce it? I have no idea. These are the waters of Lake Issyk-Kul. The bay, the western bay of Lake Issyk-Kul. You can see the snowy peaks of the mountains of this region of Kyrgyzstan. You can see a lot of people there actually. Today it's actually a Muslim holiday. It's a holiday for the Muslim calendar, so that's why you've got lots of people going into the water and going for a swim, even though it's 5 degrees, it's freezing. And it's just beautiful. On this side it's even more beautiful because you've got the docks, you've got the industries of Balikchi. There's not only fishermen here in this part of Issyk-Kul. You can see one fisherman, however, just in front of us. Here you've even got a pier for people to dive from and to throw themselves from into the waters of Lake Issyk-Kul. And yeah, this is the entrance to the beach. You've got, just because it's a holiday, the shops I think are closed, at least this one right here. You've got a boxing thing, which is obviously very popular all over the former Soviet Union. And again, you've got loads of people bathing today here in Issyk-Kul. Wow, it's freezing. How do they do this? And it's actually raining right now, but people don't seem to be too bothered about it. Снимаю. Я хочу купаться. А можно купаться или нет?
Конечно.
Конечно, просто я видел, что там купаться запрещено. Но можно. Для всех можно. Я буду купаться. Как вас зовут?
Джайло.
Джайло. Меня зовут Давид. Очень приятно. С праздником. Давиде. Вы из Балички?
Сегодня праздник.
Я знаю. Finally, the time has come to put good use to this sunscreen, Chinese fake sunscreen that I bought in Osh a few days ago. And защита для солнца. Но мне нужен это. Потом. I'm not even sure that this will actually be beneficial. It's possible that it will do more harm to my skin than anything else. This guy is very funny, by the way. Issyk-Kul, самый красивый, самое большое озеро в Центральной Азии.
Вот. Мы здесь живем, в Балтии живем. Друг.
У вас есть все. У вас есть озеро, есть горы. Вот горы, есть индустрия там, если надо промышленность.
Вот. Вот это есть.
Да, это что важно. Пляж. У вас есть пляж. Красивый пляж. Эйд Мубарак. Давай, друг. Эйд Мубарак.
Меня зовут Джайло.
Джайло, очень приятно.
Вот гору, видишь?
Вы родились там?
Я там живу.
Окей, понимаю. Спасибо, очень приятно познакомиться. Oh wow. Let me cross this field of kids who have been surrounding me ever since I got to the beach, as I now want to get baptized in the waters of Lake Issyk-Kul. Jeez! It's freezing. I'm not gonna go anymore into the water just because of how cold it is. I mean, to be honest, even when I'm in Italy, it really needs to be at least 40 degrees for me to even think about potentially going for a swim. This is way too cold for me. This is not the season yet for me to go and have a swim. Как канал называется? Davelegenda. Davelegenda. Из Ютуба, да.
Слово «привет».
Салам?
Да.
Салам, да, я знаю.
Это по-кыргызски «кандай».
Хандай?
Да.
Хандай.
Хандай.
Хандай. You know, I feel like sometimes life is crazy, you know? We spend so much time working our butts off at an office, 40 hours per week, Monday to Friday, and then you've got holidays, and then you come to Lake Issyk-Kul and you sit here eating a Soviet pirajok on the shore of Lake Issyk-Kul, just enjoying life this way. Oh!
Look who it is, bro. The myth, the legend, the ditcher, the guy who left me 2 hours before this morning because he was impatient, you know? Italians don't have
How
this.
could I not be impatient? Look at this, dude, this is amazing. I just bought an ice cream for 50 freaking euro cent. Can you imagine? 50 euro freaking cent.
It's beautiful. Is it warm? Can you swim?
Not
Is
really.
it toxic? Is it
I mean,
radiation?
bye, Issyk-Kul. See you on the other side. Now that Pavel has come, we're gonna go back to the bus station and catch a taxi or a bus to our next destination, which is going to be, you've guessed it, Barskoon. We were supposed to cover the last 150 kilometers of the journey along the southern shore of the Issyk-Kul lake. This is a very remote part of the world where public transport is lacking, therefore we knew that our only chance of getting to Barskoon before nightfall would be hiring a private driver. And while we were at the bus station, I was toying with the idea of hitting two birds with one stone and fulfilling a lifelong dream of mine. Да, мы ищем машину. У человека есть интересная Лада Жигули. Моя мечта поехать на Жигули, но сейчас мы разберемся. Alright guys, we have found the way. 4,000 som for a private Lada Жигули on the way to Barskoon. Are we gonna get to Barskoon in one piece? I'm not quite sure. Oh, there's another Lada Žiguli. We're being surrounded by Lada Žiguli. Do you think we're gonna be able to make it in one piece to Barskoon, to Gagarin?
Yeah, like dinosaurs.
It's gonna take us like 15 hours to cover 100 kilometers. Let's see. Riding on a Lada Žiguli had been on my list of things to do before Adza for a very, very long time. Spasiba. Wow, I don't think I've ever been inside a Lada Žiguli, man. For those of you who don't know, the Lada Žiguli is essentially the very first thing that people think of when they think of Soviet cars. It was in production between the 1960s and 2012, and it was engineered to be the exact copy of the Fiat 124, with suspensions that were reinforced to be able to ride on the harsh gravel roads of the Soviet Union. When you look at it from the outside, you will have the impression of it being a fairly outdated vehicle. But it's only when you get inside that you realize that this car is a freaking tank. So from one point of view, I'm really excited about this trip because we're on a Lada and it's gonna be fantastic. But on the other hand, I'm also quite concerned about this trip because we're on a Lada, and in order to cover a distance which is covered by normal cars in 2 hours and a half, maybe, this Lada will probably take almost 4 hours. But hey, it's 3 o'clock. I still hope to be able to make it to Gagarin by sunset. We should be able to do it, provided that everything goes well, but let's have a look. A wy używali inastrancev na tej maszynie? Ili me pierwsze?
Да, жили.
Vadili inastrancev?
В эту сторону, севером.
A, na serio wy vadili inastrancev na etaj ladje. Dang, I was hoping to be the first ever foreigner to sit on this very Lada, but unfortunately the taxi driver just told me that he has taken random foreigners before, albeit on the other shore of the lake, meaning on the northern shore. Maybe I'm the first Italian to be on this Lada, I don't know. By the way, I've just noticed that this dude has a 500 euro banknote on the roof of the car, you can see here, and I'm like, I've never seen a 500 euro banknote before in my life, and the first time that I see such a banknote, it's in freaking Kyrgyzstan, inside a stupid Lada Zhiguli. Such is life, right? We really are crossing landscapes that seem to be straight out of Breaking Bad, really, and the desert of New Mexico. And we're also crossing, I have to say, quite a few villages that are sparsely populated along the road from Balikchi to Barskoon. We're sort of 2 or 3 hours in, meaning that we've still got at least 1 hour left, and we're slowly but surely approaching sunset. But our goal still remains to get to Gagarin before nightfall. I've just checked the coordinates of the Gagarin monument, and apparently it's something like 30 minutes away, probably less, 20 or 25 minutes away by car, up into the mountains from the village of Barskoon. We've got Pavel right here, who's been very active on booking.com. He found a guest house where we will be able to spend the night after hopefully completing our mission to see the Gagarin monument. So we are planning on getting to the guest house now, drop our bags, and then find a kind driver that can take us by car to the Gagarin monument. Where on earth are you taking me, man? Is this the way to the guest house?
We're in rural Kyrgyzstan.
Doesn't get any more rural than that. Спасибо, до свидания. Здрасте. Woo! There's a freaking storm going on! What is going on in this video? А можно до Гагарина ехать с такой погодой? Или лучше ждать полчаса? Наверное, лучше ждать?
Не знаю. Даже не могу сказать, что там творится.
I'm not quite sure we're gonna be able to see any Gagarin in the next hour or so, just because there's a massive storm and we have to go up into the mountains for a bit at the end of the day. The lady of the guest house did say that she can hook us up with somebody who can drive us there, but I think we've decided to wait for at least 15 to 20 minutes while we wait for the weather to calm down. Otherwise, we will have to wait until tomorrow morning, which I don't necessarily want to do. Yeah, let's just see and see what happens in the meanwhile. What I can say for sure is that the fake Chinese sunscreen that I've used earlier today was to no benefit. My skin is as red as the flag of Kyrgyzstan, right? So it looks like the weather has come down for, I don't know, I think there's a window of 15 to 20 minutes that we can use to go and travel to Gagarin on, let me tell you, a very nice car compared to the one that we were on just a few minutes ago. А говорят, что где памятник Гагарин приземлился после полета некоторые.
Они приземляются там, в Казахстане.
Да, но я читаю, что некоторые считают, что Гагарин приземлился здесь, в Барсконе, поэтому есть памятник.
Он просто приехал сюда.
Да.
Если ты про другого вообще говоришь.
Не, я читал на интернете, что некоторые говорят, это легенда. Есть легенда, да.
Есть легенда, то, что когда он летел, из капсулы был парашют. Он вышел из капсулы с парашютом, он приземлился в другом месте, а капсула приземлилась тут, не сам он, а именно капсула.
Это только легенда.
Да, это только легенда.
И капсула.
The reason why they didn't disclose this information that the capsule landed here and Gagarin landed elsewhere is because then it would have been out of their program.
Yeah, it would have been an embarrassment, right?
It would have been an embarrassment.
I swear, after this couple of days in Kyrgyzstan, I will not want to see another gravel road for like months. I've had enough. But if there's one thing that I can say, is that traveling on this gravel road that we are now traveling on to the mountains where we're gonna find Gagarin is 10 times more comfortable on this car rather than the sensations that we had when traveling on this very same road or a similar one on the Lada Zhiguli this afternoon. It's a race against sunset and a race against time now more than anything else. We're now crossing this mountain road. You can see the mountains over to this side and then you can see that they continue. It's pretty much the middle of summer, but you can still see the snow at the top of those mountains right there. And it's right at the top of those mountains that is the destination for this road that we're traveling on right now. According to our driver, this road was built 120 kilometers into the mountains in order to lead to a gold mine that is found at the very top of those mountains right there. However, it's not like we will need to run the full 120 kilometers on this road, because I think we've still got only a couple of kilometers left to the coordinates where, according to Pasha, the capsule of Yuri Gagarin, according to the legend, landed on that day in 1961. As we got closer to Gagarin, our emotions got stronger and stronger, and I could not help not reminisce about the great memories that we had made and the fantastic people that we had met on this trip. Starting with the very first taxi driver who had given us a very nice first taste of the Kyrgyz mountain ranges, and then with the joyful kids of the beaches of Issyk-Kul, ending with the amazing experience of riding an authentic Lada Zhiguli. But the biggest emotion by far was given by the thought of probably being the very first Italian to ever cross these desolate longitudes. This is the place where this man right here, according to the legend, landed after his spaceflight in 1961. Either he or his capsule, according to the legend. Pay attention please, this is a very nice bust of Yuri Gagarin. It says there, Первый космонавт мира Yuri Alexeyevich Gagarin, Alexievich or Anatolievich, I'm not quite sure. I don't remember what the A stands for. But pay attention that this is not the final monument that I want to have as a final target for my video, because in order to do that I need to walk a further 50 meters into that direction right there. It's almost dark. Sunset is going to be in 11 minutes. It's freezing, it's pouring down with rain, and I had to run from the other side of the field basically. But it's all worth it. Oh my god, it's worth it. You see one of the most amazing monuments in dedication to Yuri Gagarin that you can find in the whole world, really. 2 days of travel to come all the way here to pay homage to probably the most bravest man to ever walk the face of the earth and beyond, as is the case for this guy, who left for a journey that he had no idea whether he was going to come back alive from. A journey where even the slightest inconvenience surely would have meant certain death. But he did it anyway, the mad lad. And now it's just up to us to pay homage to such character. And the way that Kyrgyzstan has decided, with the support from the government of Moscow, to pay homage to Yuri Gagarin is by having his face carved into one of the rocks of this place right here, where according to the legend Gagarin or his capsule landed 60 years ago. You can see his face is looking up towards the sky, towards the top of the mountain, and you can see his face surrounded by this space helmet right here. You can see the stars. This is a double entendre because these stars both symbolize the stars that Gagarin was able to see from up close during his lap of the earth, but also these are the stars of the medals of Gagarin, the medals that he got as he was nominated Hero of the Soviet Union for his achievement, for his cosmic achievement, right? There's not much that I can say, really. I actually need to rush back to the car because the guy is waiting for us and it's getting really dark, and the driver did say that he does not want to be out in the dark on this road right here. So thank you immensely for joining me on one of the greatest adventures of my life. I surely did have a lot of fun. I hope you did as well, and I'll see you next time. Bye! From me and from Yuri.